June 21st Recreation, Music, and Parks meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We will move on to roll call.
Marianne Berticelli.
Here.
Mary Kate DeLuco. Here. Stacy Earle.
Here.
Kate Greenspan.
Here.
Megan Kelly.
Here.
Hannah Rizzo Simmons.
Here.
Karen Now.
Great. Thank you. We will move on to general public comment. Just confirming there's no general public comment. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. There are no public comments.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to presentations. An American Institute of Architects. Drew, would you like to introduce this presentation? Great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I'm excited to introduce the team here, which consists of Cinda Gilliland of Reed Gilliland Landscape Architecture. We've got Veronica Olson here, who's the Sustainable Design Assessment Team, or SDAT, which you'll hear about. She's their lead and real community champion, as well as a community organizer who wears many hats, Dave Alden, who's also a big supporter of the Know Before You Grow initiatives that have been teaming up with them on this. So really tonight is about a presentation to walk us through the findings of this the really kind of powerful and visionary assessment that this crew put together. So without getting too much into the details, we're happy to have them forward, and this will be a reiterative conversation that we hope will carry forward through big policy changes coming down, like general plans, like strategic parks and recreation master plans, but also want you to make sure to look at this through the lens of smaller kind of demonstration type projects and programs that may be coming down the queue. So something that we hope to continue to revisit, as I know it tackles some of the city's overarching initiatives. So with that, I'll introduce Cinda to kick us off. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. We're happy to be here. We've been visiting a lot of different commissions and committees to share the results of this SDAT assessment, which we will, I'll explain what that means in a little bit. So if most of us were asked, we'd say that we're in favor of progress, a better tomorrow. But what does progress mean if we don't have a clear sense of where we're headed? The City of Petaluma has made a commitment to rapidly transition toward an equitable, carbon-neutral future within 7 years, a future that we're now beginning to imagine. Next. As a city, we need a shared vision of where we're going, a vision of what a prosperous, equitable, resilient, zero-carbon, regenerative city looks like. And to get there, we need some big, bold ideas. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of an ad hoc group of 15 Petaluma residents who came together more than 3 years ago out of our shared interest in helping our city align its sights toward that prosperous carbon neutral future. Next. In December 2019, we applied for the American Institute of Architects, AIA. We applied to them for a Sustainable Design Assessment Team, or SDAT, which we'll be calling it from now on, a grant to bring to Petaluma a multidisciplinary team of urban design experts to assist us with some big, bold ideas. In January 2020, the AIA selected Petaluma, one of only 8 communities nationwide, to receive a grant worth $180,000 in design services. Although the project was put on hold for 2 years due to COVID, it was revived in 2020. Next. In Early August of last year, the AIA team spent 4 days in Petaluma to focus on our selected topic, complete 15-minute neighborhoods and living streets. The AIA reviewed relevant documents, visited sites around town, next, conducted meetings with over 350 community members, drew maps and sketches, and made recommendations that were then presented to the City Council on August 8th. Next. Their final report, entitled Reimagining Petaluma, was delivered 3 months later, in November 2022. This presentation is a short summary of what their final report, with commentary by members of the local group that brought the SDAT team to our city. I think also you have received a copy of that SDAT report, though probably not long enough ago for you to review it very carefully. The purpose of this presentation and others that the group will be making over the last few weeks and the next few weeks is to ensure that the bold ideas of AIA's experts are fully integrated into our city's guiding documents, our general plan, climate action and adaptation plan, active transportation plan, implementing zoning ordinance, and other key documents. The time has come to turn words into action. Next. The SDAT team of design professionals collaborated to develop a suite of integrated solutions, ones that would solve multiple problems simultaneously. Their recommendations address issues of land use, transportation, ecosystem health, climate, equity, financial stability, and more. We'll start with their recommendations for 15-minute neighborhoods. Next. What is a 15-minute neighborhood, you might ask? The AIA final report offers this. Next. Quote, the 15-minute city is a concept that describes a residential community with a decentralized mixed-use development node that provides most of the residents' daily needs within a 15-minute walk from the residents' homes. Next. Within a short walk or bike ride, people of all ages and abilities living in a 15-minute neighborhood have safe and convenient access to a variety of grocery and other retail stores, coffee shops, restaurants, schools, daycare facilities, parks, playing fields, public open space, community gardens, civic amenities, and affordable public transportation. Next. This, after all, is how people lived for all of human history up until a little over 100 years ago, when the automobile arrived on the scene and came to dominate the public realm. Until that time, all previous generations had lived in villages, towns, and cities that allowed older people to move about safely on their own, that allowed children to play in the street, and fostered a chance for conversations between neighbors. The street was a public living room. Next. As the urbanist and writer Jane Jacobs said, lowly, unpurposeful, and random as they appear, sidewalk contacts are the small change from which a city's wealth of public life must grow. Although Jacobs wrote this in 1961, the concept remains as relevant today as ever. Next. The AIA team started their analysis using a 15-minute walk circle. The radius of a 15-minute walk circle represents the distance that an average person can walk in 15 minutes, about 3/4 of a mile. Here we have a 15-minute walk circle centered over our downtown. Next. Then, after looking at a range of social and environmental data, the AIA team overlaid 15-minute walk circles over a map of the whole city. This map shows 9 overlapping walk circles, each centered on a mixed-use development node. As the AIA team said in their final report, the maps and drawings presented within this section were created during our 4-day visit and are intended to be conceptual and illustrative rather than prescriptive. The intention was not to create detailed schematics, but rather to spark inspiration and a new way of thinking about these areas. Our local team has been sparked by the inspiration of the report and developed a few more specific recommendations that are informed by our deeper understandings of Petaluma. Next. We enthusiastically support the development of 15-minute walkable mixed-use neighborhoods and believe that the location of the mixed-use neighborhood nodes merits more careful study and community input. Next. Cities throughout history have always grown and changed organically. Because our present zoning codes tend to discourage mixed-use development, they inhibit organic change and growth. Next. We believe it's important to encourage the spontaneous development of mixed-use neighborhoods through revisions to our zoning code that would permit limited commercial uses on parcels currently zoned exclusively residential, with uses and hours as appropriate. Next. This would reintroduce the much-needed elements of liveliness, neighborliness, and community into our residential neighborhoods. And now I'm going to turn this over to Veronica, who will talk about transportation.
Good evening, everyone. Veronica Olson. The SDOT team titled this section, Reimagining Mobility. At the August 5th community meeting, they heard participants identify 5 key challenges that our roadway systems present here in Petaluma. Next slide, please. They heard the community voice these concerns. 1, a fragmented bike network, limited crosstown connectivity, motorists speeding through neighborhoods, narrow sidewalks, and unreliable transit service. The AIA team presented a big, bold design solution that addresses these challenges, while also integrating trees and other vegetation into our streetscapes, improving stormwater management, reducing the urban heat island effect, furthering our Vision Zero goal of 0 fatalities and serious collisions by 2030, fostering 15-minute neighborhoods, and helping us move towards our goal of carbon neutrality by 2030. Next slide, please. The first set of recommended actions in the final report is grouped under the heading Remove Barriers. First of them is to fix Washington Street. The report reads, the city and its partners must fix Washington Street to meet its goals related to climate resiliency, carbon neutrality, vehicle miles traveled, connectivity, and safety. The report illustrates the big, bold fix as green ribbon of connected corridors, a complete and integrated network that starts by transforming Washington Street and then the other 4-lane arterials, namely Eli Boulevard, McDowell Boulevard, etc., into green corridors. In this illustration, a typical 100-foot roadway right-of-way is transformed into 33 feet for vehicles with wide planting areas and multi-use pathways on both sides. Next slide, please. Okay, take a deep breath. Imagine Washington Street between Petaluma Boulevard and McDowell Boulevard transformed. Next slide, please. The report also calls for transforming gray corridors into healthy, walkable, bikeable, resource-rich, diverse corridors. The transformed arterials would then be connected to our existing network of creekside multi-use trails to create a complete and integrated mobility network linking all of our schools, parks, playgrounds, playing fields, and commercial districts. Next slide, please. Such a system is designed with considerations of the needs of not just the bicycle riders and pedestrians, but of drivers of all types of vehicles and users of all types of mobility devices, both self-powered and powered by electricity. Among the other recommendations in the final report, 3 others stand out. Next slide, please. First, the AIA team identified our street design standards as being out of step with our intentions with our current best practices. Our standards were last updated in 1996. The report says best practices for street design in the United States have evolved in profound ways since then, especially in arenas of prioritizing safety for active transportation and incorporating landscaping and green infrastructure. Next slide. Second, the report recommends improving transit reliability and frequency in order to encourage all residents and visitors to use transit rather than drive. Next slide. And third, that we create a neighborhood traffic calming program. From the report, in addition to more traditional traffic calming treatments such as curb extensions and speed humps, the city should explore or continue to explore mini traffic circles, raised crosswalks, and one-lane pinch points. And this illustration shows one clever, very simple solution just using paint. So that's an illusion. In summary, next slide. In summary, based on their wide-ranging experience and input gathered from over 350 community members, the SDAT team left us with these broad recommendations. We must reimagine our streets, not as the exclusive realm of the automobile, but as a place for people. Design our streets so that people in and all types of mobility devices can get around town safely and conveniently. This will involve reducing vehicle speeds by the way of design of our streets, not by speed limit signs and speed bumps. And we must include trees and vegetation in all of our street designs and reimagine our transit system to align with our bigger visions. We must work towards creating a walkable 15-minute neighborhood throughout our city. We do this by allowing for organic growth and change by relaxing the zoning rules that apply in residential zones. And we actively identify locations for mixed-use nodes and work towards their build-out. And finally, we must ensure that big, bold ideas are fully integrated into our guiding documents, namely our general plan, climate action and adaptation plan, active transportation plan, implementing zoning ordinance, street standards, et cetera, et cetera. Next slide. Our future, for all that it might be or not be, is actually a shared future. We are in this together, and we need to work together as a community to realize this vision. Next slide. We'd like to thank all the people for the opportunity to bring these big ideas into the public discourse. And thank you so much to the City of Petaluma, to our strategic partners, and to all the hardworking community members who helped bring the SDAT team to Petaluma and their recommendations into our public discourse. Next slide. So now we are standing with this framework, these ideas, and it is ours to take hold of and decide what we want to do as a city. So are there questions and comments?
Clarifying questions? Hannah?
Yeah, is there a reason there was only 350 community members that participated?
Well, it was the largest community design event that I was told by anyone that had ever worked in the city. So it was the entire town was invited. So we had a limit of, I think, 400, and we started panicking at like we got like we had 450 yeses, and we didn't know if we could accommodate them in the venue. So yes, for the 4-day event, it was quite an undertaking to have that many people all getting out maps and everything. So it was one of the largest.
And was there other like public input that wasn't necessarily at the planning table with you guys, but because our town is what, 62,000 people?
Mm-hmm. You mean it was very well advertised. It was yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was in it was in the paper, it was on social media, it was in the city newsletter.
Are you asking if beyond the 350 people, if other people were?
Had input in the discussion. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
I'd say it was, that there was that big group that was a long session.
Right, and everyone that had, we invited basically all of the nonprofits in Petaluma. We invited the entire community, the business community, nonprofits, because it's the entire focus of the SSTAT is about cross disciplinary and sector work. So it's about creating a dialogue between all the different entities.
Thank you.
Other clarifying questions? Okay, well, public comment. Unless Dave wants to. Okay, commissioner comment. Kate?
Thank you so much for all of your work on this project and just your continued championing for the city. And I mean, all three of you, I'm so impressed that you just keep going. And when I first saw the report come out, I was so excited to read it. And now I'm so excited to see it again. And I just hope that it can be inserted into everyone's consciousness as we move forward, in city planning process and master plan for parks and all of these different things. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Other commissioners? Stacy?
This was my second time hearing this. I don't need these on because I can't see you when I talk with them, but then I can't see this. I got to hear this at the pedestrian bicycle meeting, and I thought about it for a long time. And I wish I would have wrote down some of those thoughts. But one piece, and I'm just going to reiterate it on here with the Fix Washington Street, is my really big concern about that is it's a fire exit strategy for everyone who lives in this town. So fixing Petaluma, I love the idea of that, and I would love to reimagine it, although I'm not sure that some other people feel that way. We don't have enough exits in this town, and that's like a fact. It's not an opinion. So somehow, really, when bringing that up, that needs to be taken into consideration with all of our streets, right? That we have to be able to get out in the event of a fire. One comment that I had as I had started thinking about this more, and this isn't that I always want to be in my car, because I don't, but there's this big piece with Petaluma with families, with the east and the west side, right? And the commuting of kids back and forth and the sports back and forth. And that main thoroughfare is Washington Street. So I'm not sure, I wonder if you would get backing if you started there. I know that's like the big, bold, we could make a great improvement, but I really think it would scare a lot of people away because we don't have a choice, and I don't have a choice but to cart my kids around. And so it's not that I necessarily want to be driving that much, but depending on the ages, we can't get them on bikes if they have gear and stuff like that. So maybe starting in a different area. And then Lynch Creek Trail runs parallel to Washington Street. So I'm curious, and maybe that's not really a clarifying question, but I'm curious why the importance would be to change that street when there's actually a great bike path and walking path that I feel it could be improved upon. So maybe that's also something to look back if the push comes to shove on, don't do anything with Washington Street. There's space on Lynch Creek Trail to expand that a little bit, add lighting, make people feel more safe. And then I have one more. Oh, my last thing would be agreeing on the transportation, on public transportation, that it's a big equity issue. But again, if the bus routes aren't looked at, and the amount of space for the buses to drive down, if that's decreased, and then people don't change their driving habits, then the buses are going to be late, which then makes the people who work these hourly jobs be late for their shifts, like from that standpoint, it starts to like kick across the equity piece of that's actually not good for people if that piece couldn't be fixed. So those are just kind of thoughts on, I don't know where you guys are on that.
Thank you. Well, we're digesting this report as our community
Yeah.
is as well, so.
Totally.
it's
Yeah, I know
all-
this
it's-
is just
It's
a-
an open source, it's a start for us to really imagine how we might actually meet our carbon neutrality goals through some of the policies that we have, and also incorporating our general plan vision that we created. It's a pretty significant vision.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So
and
in
and I'm
order
not
for us
trying to
to-
be a naysayer. I'm not, but
Oh, no,
definitely
I'm
from
just saying
thinking
that
about it. Yeah.
This is all, the reason why we're coming to the committees and commissions is to enlist people to be part of this process. The process that we undertook was to get the experts here and take the community input and then put it into a vision for us, which is represented in the actual
Yeah.
document. And then the next step is when our community actually has to figure out what it specifically looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And you touch on, all of those, yes, it's hard to
Yeah.
do one thing because it affects another thing.
Yeah.
And how do we design Washington Street so it will still function the way we need it to? I think, and allowing for public transportation to move efficiently. It's hard to figure out which is the cart and which is the horse.
that's why I'm happy you guys are doing it, not me. I don't know that I could do that. And also, I think the 15-minute neighborhood, like I live on the east side. I would love to have more things over there. Like on the west side, a 15-minute neighborhood's easy, but in areas of the east side, it's not doable. So it's great to see that like that's crossing that barrier of 101.
Right. It's, that's another reason why this conversation tonight, we could maybe just spark kind of a discussion maybe for later in another meeting, but just to start thinking about what kind of placemaking and recreational kind of activities could happen around already existing efforts or nodes. And it doesn't have to be as prescribed in the report necessarily. You could have identified through your work someplace that already kind of has something going and then adding to that. So.
Yeah, and a part of you talked about Lynch Creek Trail, and the report touches on that and says that there's various places where this crossings are unsafe, for instance, at McDowell. So they do look at that also, and I think the idea of making streets and parks places that are inviting and for people. So like from the park standpoint, more seating, seating along streetscapes. What are the ways that we can invite people to occupy the space and make it desirable to get out of their car?
Hannah?
Yeah. It just feels very Latin American, very European. They've been doing it for years, right? So I understand we're dreaming here. There's no funding for this dream, is there?
Well, I guess that is a question that could be answered by what we decide we want to do. So there is a lot of funding at the moment for active transportation oriented funding and street greening and so forth. I think there are some efforts in our city that are working towards some of those, but I think at the neighborhood level, we also have a lot of support from organizations such as Cool Petaluma, and yeah, I mean, it's we don't have a funding source at the moment, but that's part of our work, is being able to work in an organic fashion. And then if something is really compelling, I'll just give an example, like the skate park. That was an organic project that emerged from the community giving input, and then
It's been
going
like
to-
20 years in the making, though, of community wanting this new thing, and then finally it's happening. We've been working on the IMP and just going to different districts and seeing how underfunded each place is just to get irrigation back on. That's on McDowell and on Sonoma Mountain Parkway. All the irrigation's broken. So like just that. So I'm just looking at it as like all these things that need to happen and like,
Well, I think there's actually actually three lanes here. There's the policy lane, there's the ideas for short-term or quick build or tactical urbanism type of projects, and then there's, the bigger capital-intensive monies that, are required for certain things. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a quilt. We're going to have to just take what we can do at that particular time and be nimble, because we do have climate change breathing down our necks. And we've got to get people to go to places and not be traveling from, their house to the mall necessarily anymore. We have to localize our amenities and places to go to and be together. And also community building, there's that part of it that's a natural benefit of getting closer.
And some of it takes funding for sure. But part of it is, we really want to get this into the general plan. The general plan is already happening. If the general plan anticipates and allows these kinds of things, that funnels down into the zoning, then that's not necessarily a need for funding. That's a need of looking at things differently. I think that things like changing our streets standards will require some funding for that department to do that, but that could be picked off. That's sort of, they suggested that was low-hanging fruit. So, there's a lot of different ways in, as Veronica was suggesting.
And then also, I think the other thing is, like, once you have a street standard, for example, finished, there's going to be new ways of doing projects which could provide or open you up to different types of funding that you didn't have before. So, and then that would actually kind of segue into the whole park conversation. It's like green spaces that kind of merge. You have, benches and even tactical urbanism kind of projects where you just have like a stage or a pop-up for, a short period of time just to give people that feeling. And once there's community support, then those things actually start to happen.
thank you.
Well, I think it's an exciting vision. I think it sounds incredible, and I really appreciate that you brought in so many people in different nonprofits, because when I think about inching your way towards that vision, I think of, Cool Cities, Blue Zones, really must have been super excited about this, right? I think about how we already have a memorial park program or bench program where that could be implemented. So it's kind of bringing partners together as you inch your way towards that goal. So I think that's really exciting. I went from a neighborhood that was not a necessarily walkable neighborhood, not a lot of things, amenities in that neighborhood, to a neighborhood that is fully walkable. Everything I do, I can walk to now, which is incredible. And I love it so much that I can go to the grocery store. I can go to the different needs that I have, and fulfill those within my neighborhood. And so I think that that's an amazing vision as well. And I hope that for other neighborhoods within Petaluma too. So thank you so much. It'll be interesting to see your progression over the next couple of years and where things build on top of each other to get to this goal.
Our progression, we're
Our
all-
progression. Thank you. Our progression together.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you again for your time, and Commission. Look forward to revisiting this. We've got a lot of parks. We've got a lot of initiatives. So I hope that we can invite these folks back after the world tour, and see about, as we get closer to the general plan and where those action items are, we can revisit these concepts and initiatives. So thank you.
I also put the, kind of idea out there. Maybe there could be a brainstorm with your group on what could be some short-term things for an area or two, and just maybe just do 1 or 2 projects and see what happens and see what the feedback is. And then to be able to feed that back into the general plan writers or people and say, we just did this and here were our learnings and it was a great success and it wouldn't cost that much. So
I might also add, we had a really great meeting with presentation before You Grow. And there was a lot of community interest in taking things on themselves and making things happen. So you may be having people come to you who want to who have some ideas. And as Veronica said, we'd be happy to engage with you in the future as you would like.
That's awesome. We love community partners that help do the work. So that's great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to approval of minutes for the May 17th meeting. Were there any changes, deletions, additions, comments on them? Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to the 4th of July event overview. Are we starting with Rachel? Drew?
Yeah, I was going to say
Rachel's name's on there.
Rachel needs no introduction, but I'll introduce her anyway. Rachel Beer, Recreation Supervisor. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Drew. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm going to be giving an update about our Fireworks Over Petaluma show. Next slide, please. I'll start with our community outreach. So earlier this year in February, we conducted a community survey. And our goal was just to ask the community what the 4th of July meant for them and what did it look like in Petaluma. We asked our respondents what area of Petaluma they live in, if they've participated in our 4th of July events in the past, and what they enjoyed most about those past events. We also asked where community members would like to celebrate the 4th of July this coming year, 2023. Next slide, please. Based on our the community feedback, Petalumans overwhelmingly supported a fireworks show, specifically the one that we had conducted in 2021, which is a higher elevation shoot. And community members favored watching fireworks within their neighborhoods and within their backyards and communities. Next slide, please. This statistic just shows that 80% of our respondents enjoyed fireworks the most out of other parts of the events that we've hosted in the past. And this brings us to this year's show. So Tuesday, July 4th, around 9:30 p.m., we'll have about a 20-minute fireworks show. We're working with Fireworks America. That's our pyrotech company. We'll be doing a high-altitude shoot from the Sonoma Marin Fairgrounds at the Speedway. That will be the location. We are closing the fairgrounds property to the public for public safety. The higher elevation shoot causes a larger fall zone for the fireworks, so that's why that one's closed. And our next slide. Awesome. And so our best parks to view fireworks show. So we worked with the city's GIS team to create this really awesome map of our best parks throughout the city to view the fireworks show. These calculations included our lowest elevation fireworks as well as the highest. So in these spaces, community members are going to be able to see the show. This map is online and we have all of our information, cityofpetaluma.org/fireworks. It also offers an interactive component, so this is just kind of a screen grab of it where community members can type in your address and you can see which parks are closest to your home or where you are. We are encouraging community members to stay within their neighborhoods, stay within their local parks, not to gather at the fairgrounds property as sometimes had been done in the past, and to always clean up garbage in parks. We're also reminding community members personal fireworks are illegal in Petaluma, and just to kind of enjoy the show within their communities. So this was an added feature we did this year to kind of show people where they can view the fireworks show. Next slide, please. This is a new event also that we're hosting at Lucchese Park. So this is a kickoff event during the day, July 4th, 10 to 1:30. We're partnering with our Petaluma Eastside Farmers Market that takes place every Tuesday in our Lucchese Park parking lot. So we're combining with them. We're encouraging our community members to ride their bicycles to the park. We'll have a free bike valet, a bike parade, dog costume contest, craft stations, kids activities. We're working with some vendors too, and we're calling this event Stars and Stripes, Dogs and Bikes. We're really excited about it. Next slide. And that's it. We look forward to celebrating with everyone. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? I'm guessing there's no public comment. Any discussion? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So this Fireworks America, is that what it's called, the company? That's not the company that we were hurt by last year, the ones that's on the insurance thing?
Correct. This is a new company that we're working with, so it's a different company than we've worked
good.
with in the
Okay.
past. However, I received feedback. I did a kind of a study across a bunch of different agencies throughout our local area, kind of North Bay, and also throughout the state of California to see, to kind of vet some of the contractors. And we know a couple local agencies that have used Fireworks America, so we're looking forward to it.
Oh, that's great news. Thank you. Also, I really like the idea of a bike valet.
Yeah, of course.
Any other comments? Kate?
I love the map, and I'm really glad that you guys did that and have that little interactive feature. I just hope that it can be shared widely enough with the community, because I think people would love to know where the best place to view is.
Yeah, absolutely. We, when in our pre kind of fireworks meetings, we meet with police, we meet with fire, and public safety, of course, has a lot of concerns over these events always, and the 4th of July in general. And so what we're trying to do through our communications department is blast this information countywide, because people will come from outside of Petaluma here. So we're hoping, that people don't go straight to the fairgrounds or gather in kind of the Target parking lot area. We'll have security in the parking lot right outside of the fairgrounds where the airporter is, or the park and ride, and Target will also have their security. And so we're trying really hard to make sure that people are kind of staying within their neighborhoods or within these parks. So, and I was surprised by the map to see across the whole city. That's really cool to see how many parks and spaces that it kind of covered. So looking forward to it.
I think the daytime thing is a great idea. I think it's stellar. I think everybody's going to like it. In the communications, and I don't know if you're doing this, but explaining to people the why behind not standing there, because I have seen in some of the social media groups, people, kind of wondering why. And so just addressing that, and the maps, stellar. I think this sounds like it's going to go off so much better than last year. So thumbs up.
That's the goal. Yes, absolutely. And we've been trying to definitely educate the community on, we're doing the high elevation show because that's what the community wanted. I started this, the new year happened January 1st, and I said, Drew, what are we doing? I'm starting to plan this. So that's why we started to kind of ask community what was going on and what they wanted to see. So I hope that people kind of understand that too. And this is new, the daytime event, so I hope people come out.
I think the map is amazing, and just being able to see the parks and encourage people to stay in their neighborhoods. The daytime event sounds awesome and really cool. I'm a little bummed because it goes against the museum event at the same time. So I'm hoping that the museum event is still equally advertised, because that's a really, really special event that's celebrated nationwide. So just hoping that timing could be taken maybe into consideration next year, but I'm guessing the timing is around the farmer's market. That's why.
It was, yes. So we just use the same time as the farmers market. It's always 10 to 1:30 on Tuesdays, and we know we have groups of people and families and community members that already go there, and so we're hoping to kind of catch on to that. But yeah, we did. Kevin and I actually talked about the bell ringing, but we are advertising it. We just posted, I think, on social media today, so hopefully people still can go to both, maybe.
I'm sure it was a debate between you and Kevin.
Yeah, it was.
I get it, and I do understand that it's different groups too. But it's just never good to have a contradictory time. But I think it sounds like a great event, and people could go to the bell ringing and then go to that after as well. I think everyone's really excited to have fireworks back, super, super cool and so much fun and great to have it in Petaluma. You know, people don't have to leave to go to a different area and whatnot. And I think that that also leads to the safety of our city as well, because then people aren't driving as much on such a big night. So thank you both, everyone, for all the efforts to putting this in. I think it's going to be a really fun event. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, commissioner comments. We'll start down at Kate.
I do not have any comments. Youth Commission met but did not have quorum last meeting. Is that, oh, sorry, we're just commissioner comments on this specifically?
No, Commissioner, we're moving
Okay.
on.
Okay. And that's really all I have to report, actually.
Okay, Hannah.
Yeah, art meeting was canceled last month because we didn't have enough members. We will be having it tomorrow. So I get to go back to back here. Yeah, so I'll have more to report next month. Going over the Kenilworth, what got submitted. And there were some really cool artists that submitted for the Kenilworth Park. So that will be fun to talk about. Tune in if you're at home with nothing to do. And yeah, parks look good. Yeah, meeting on the IMP thing has been very eye-opening. And so yeah, it gives a really good perspective to what's happening and why it's happening. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Marianne.
Came unhinged. Yeah, I think the parks are looking good. I know that just from my own garden as well, that all the rain is partly responsible for that, but I know they had a lot of weeding and that type of thing to catch up on, so I think they're doing a great job, all things considered. I was not able to attend the last museum board meeting because of it was changed to a night that I wasn't available, but I'm sure Megan could fill everyone in on that. And I really did enjoy the presentation from the architects. I think it's important to, I mean, I remember going to meetings in the city for things that they were planning 25 years out. And some of those things haven't happened yet from meetings that I participated in a long time ago. So I know that, there's more pragmatic and practical needs that we have to focus on, but I think it's important to try to balance the needs for the present with a vision for the future. And I think it's important to have those ideas at least brought out and put into some of the planning documents so that at some point when there is funding available or when an opportunity comes up, we have something ready to go. So I enjoyed the presentation, the ideas, and I think it's a really good idea to start planning these things now that may not happen for 50 years, but at least there's a process that's going to, if you don't start somewhere, you're never going to get there. So other than that, as Hannah mentioned, we've been meeting with different city departments while we're working on the integrated pest management policy. That's been very interesting and informative to find out about the different operations of different city departments, the constraints that they work on, all the many things that they're already doing to manage things with as few chemicals as possible, which I think is great. And we're going to continue wrapping up our last few meetings with the city, working with the community, and hopefully have a good product at the end to bring back to the commission soon. That's it.
Thank you. Mary Kate?
Oh, we need your mic, sorry, especially today. Nope, one more time.
How about now?
Yep.
Oh, I guess the green light should give me an idea. I'm sorry, you guys. My parks look great, absolutely wonderful, and the rain. I can't get over how important rain is. You know, everywhere you go, it's just, you realize how lucky we were to get all that rain and how lucky we are to have this parks department that keeps these parks looking so beautiful, even when during the drought. I did not have a tree committee meeting today, and that was because we didn't have a quorum. And I'm sure they'll meet next month. And I think that's all I have. Everything is good. Thank you.
Stacy?
Okay. My parks look good. No complaints there. Bicycle and pedestrian. So they, and I was looking, I didn't write down the name of the grant, but there is actually a pretty large grant that the city's going for that would take care of a lot of the different kind of transportation and pedestrian and type stuff that that presentation covered. So things like being able to fix like the Lynch Creek Trail where it crosses through McDowell, bulb outs at every school. That is something that a grant has been put in for. And I believe if we get awarded it, that it would cover everything, like all of the stuff that in terms of that PBAC was talking about. They're like, yeah, that would be covered. And it would be amazing in terms of some of the, especially important things by schools. There's a lot of parents that park in no parking zones near schools, and it's really dangerous, really dangerous. So anyhow, that would be great if we had like parking curbs in certain areas. So that is kind of that could come to fruition. The other thing with that meeting was this presentation. They also had an ad hoc that went through, and they went through every single biking and walking trail in the city and took notes on it all and really categorized it. I'm guessing you know about this, Drew. And so really took the notes to see all of the trails conditions, but then started to take notes on what needs to happen in order to connect them all better. Because that's, again, what that group was talking about, is that sometimes they connect and sometimes they don't. Like there's big, like over by Water Street, there's a huge issue of connectivity over there. So they have been doing work that way. They were also talking about some of the signage that's coming, where there will be signs along trails, but they also have a QR code. So then you have your whole bicycle and pedestrian map on your phone, which I thought was huge. That's something that I've always wanted. So a lot of this stuff is kind of coming down the pipeline, and will be accessible to everybody. I think that's it from me.
Great. Okay, for the museum, I did attend the fundraiser. It was really lovely. It was in the back. It was a wine pairing, and it was just beautiful and a great chance to celebrate our community and the museum and being together. It's such a beautiful building. The POI, the Petalumans of Yesteryear, are doing walking tours. I highly encourage you to attend. They're super fun. It's fun with kids dressed up in their costumes and their characters and whatnot. And it's just a fun event. Very proud of the Petalumans of Yesteryear, as well as some of our museum board members, that they brought back some field trips for third graders on like a trial basis at the end of the year this year. So really hoping we can expand that next year. My stepdaughters, who are 17 and 20, remember in third grade when they went through those field trips and all the secrets about Petaluma and whatnot. So very exciting there. I've spent a lot of time at Schellenberger lately, and it just looks beautiful. It just looks beautiful. It has water, and it's just so pretty, and the birds, and so it's been beautiful. Same with Lynch Creek. I've been walking Lynch Creek a lot, and the little parklet. I can't wait to hear. Hopefully tonight we'll hear when it's going to open, because when I don't know if anyone else was on the commission when that was kind of envisioned of what that was going to look like, but it just looks nice, and it looks like a little peaceful spot to stop and enjoy that area. So excited about that. The art installation at Putnam Plaza looks great. I was kind of taken back by it when I walked by. I was like, whoa, it's up, and it looks so good, and it's fun, and it's something different that's there. Let's see. While it's not, the library is not under our purview, I want to connect it somehow with the recreation piece and just say I'm really proud of our town. I am really proud of our town for pushing for inclusivity and that everyone belongs here. And I'm glad that people came out and spoke their opinions. And I'm glad that that's what's being pushed in the press, that Petaluma is proud of our town and includes everyone. And I'm grateful as a mom that my kids get to see that. So I'm very proud there. Finally, Mary Kate, it's your last meeting, and I'm sad about that one. I remember our first little coffee when I met you when you first joined the commission, and then we were in person, and then we weren't for a number of meetings. So I'm glad we got to end together here in Chambers, and that you've gotten to be here for the last few months. You've added so much value and such a great voice on the commission, a nice sounding board done in just such a gracious and happy way. You add such a great opinion. So we've been so lucky to have you these last 4 years. So thank you for everything you've done for the commission, and come back and be a public speaker and send in your comments and watch us on, like when Roger left, watch us on the TV. We've been really lucky to have you. So thank you for everything you've done, all the committees that you've served on and whatnot while you've been in here for the last 4 years. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about our coffee at Oculus and meeting Drew for the first time and Rachel at Youth Commission. And I was really, really seriously considering an Irish goodbye and not showing up tonight, which is what all my relatives do. But I couldn't. I just had to come by because I just had to think. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And you know how I feel about the department. I am just in awe. And I have been from day one with the Parks and Rec department. I just think you guys are, and the fact that you would never, ever lose your temper, or at least publicly, and never, ever complain, at least publicly. And I really have been knocked out by you guys. And when I think about how we went through COVID together and how for most everybody, it was a shutdown. And for these guys, it was speed up. And I don't know, it was a really weird time. And I was just glad to go through it with you. And I really thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kate. You never complain or get angry either, by the way, publicly. Thank you for your time on the commission. Okay, staff comment.
Well, thank you. We're going to do things a little different tonight. Cindy Chong, our superintendent of parks and facilities, is out on assignment, so that means Rachel's got an opportunity here. So what we'll do is we'll have Rachel start with the recreation-focused kind of updates, and then I'll take on some of the park-centric ones, and we'll tag team that way. So, Rachel, you want to kick us off on rec happenings while you're warm?
Sure thing. And I want to thank Mary Kate too. I remember when you were assigned to the Youth Commission and you told Drew, but I don't have kids. And it was so funny. And I was like, that's why we need you there. You're great. So anyway, thank you for all your service with us, and you've been a joy to work with. Our summer camps. So our summer season's in full swing at the community center. Our camp started on June 19th. So last week we're in week 2, or a little over halfway through week 2. We're providing our camp programming for over 100 children a week. That's just in our day camps, and we will run through the second week in August, so 7 more weeks to go. We also are offering specialty camps, so we're partnering with our various organizations and instructors that we have in the past, our sports camps, our cooking and yoga, STEM and Lego, movie production, fencing camps, so we continue to partner with them, and they are always successful. They always fill. We're really excited about those as well. We are in the process of bringing on a new contract instructor who has experience working with children with disabilities and neurodivergency. So I'm really excited about inclusive programming coming through our department. And we launched a community survey to kind of ask people what needs their children have and how we can support them. And we're hoping to kind of do a trial program this July. So it's really exciting, and we'll have more to come on that. Our adult softball program's well underway. We've got our 40 teams participating in our spring-summer season, and we'll continue this momentum into our fall. Our senior center is as busy as ever. There's no on-season or off-season there, I feel like. It's just all year round. Our senior center coordinator is really awesome with throwing special events. We had a nacho and taco party in May, and it was really awesome. And we also followed that with a staff celebration, which was great. We also had a Jazz in June party, and we celebrated one of our longtime participants who turned 100 years old. So we celebrated his 100th birthday party, had a jazz band there. It was really, really an awesome event, and we had some photos on our social media if you haven't seen those. We hosted our first movie in the park last Friday. We played Finding Dory, and we had we would say anywhere from 100 to 200 people in attendance, so pretty average for our movies, and it was still pretty cold, so we're excited. Our next one will be July 14th, Back to the Future, so we have a couple more coming up these next months. Moving on here, I wanted to talk a little bit about a new group that was spearheaded by the Napa Parks and Rec Department that I've been able to be a part of, called the Northern Aquatics Networking Group. So myself and one of our representatives from our aquatics contractors got together with this group for their first meeting, and we could connect with aquatic professionals all throughout the North Bay. And so it included from kind of like Napa, Solano, Marin, Sonoma County, and it was really great, and we're hoping to continue to meet and kind of network and offer support for all pools and all aquatics, so that was a really great opportunity for us to be a part of. Pickleball, we earlier this month, Del Oro Tennis Court and one of our tennis courts at Lucchese were striped to include pickleball. So those are now shared use courts. It's been really successful so far to see the engagement from both the tennis community and the pickleball community. I work really closely with both of our racket sports, and people are just really excited about it, and they're really excited to be out and having more opportunities to play. So I'm continuing to work with them on some storage opportunities, more programming, more classes, but we're just really excited in general that we could move forward with that. Project Grad, we hosted Project Grad for both high schools at the community center the second weekend in June, so June 9th through the 11th. Both events were successful. We hadn't hosted Project Grad since 2019. I didn't realize it had been that long. And so it was exciting to see the decorations and kind of have them and have our staff work overnight for 2 nights in a row. It's busy for us, but overall it was really successful. And lastly, staff from our department will be bringing forward a proclamation to City Council on July 10th to recognize July as National Parks and Recreation Month. So this is the first time in my experience with the city that we'll bring this forward, and it's something that I initiated with assistance from Drew, and I'm really excited about that. So hopefully you'll tune in. That's all. Sure.
Is Kavanaugh going to be open for rec swim this year?
It should. That's a great question. I don't know. It should be. I don't have the answer off the top of my head.
Okay.
Can I get back to you on that?
Of course. Thank you.
I'll put it on my notes, though. Thanks,
Thank
Hannah.
you.
Thank you, Rachel. I think we'll just have you do it every month now. You're pretty good at that. And just to piggyback on the proclamation, it is a formality that often goes out in front of the council, and in my time here, we haven't brought and recognized July as the National Recreation and Parks Association's month. So, love for you to tune in and support. It is kind of just an acknowledgement, but also just a celebration of, the importance that we feel parks are in our community, and all the people and volunteers and services and everything that wraps around you all that help support that cause. So although it's a short proclamation and a lot of pompous circumstance, we're really excited about it. And thank you, Rachel, for making it happen this year. So switching gears to parks, the first round, I'll say wave of gopher abatement is wrapping up at McNear Park. We're going to be transitioning to Wiseman and Prince in July. So it's been successful up until this point, and that'll turn into a monthly reoccurring program. But that initial kind of high intensity wave is wrapping up and moving on to Wiseman and Prince. So Gophers, you've been noticed there. The ball fields and multi-use athletic area at McNair Park were closed for a couple of weeks. I think beyond a couple of weeks, as crews really retrenched and reconnected 24 zones of irrigation out there. So everything's been rewired, a lot of fixes, a lot of new irrigation found, explored, identified, and really give the crews a lot of credit for staying on it. Took a lot of people, a lot of troubleshooting to really get those into modern irrigation systems and timers that's not just going to allow us to be better stewards of water, but really be more efficient with putting more water down when we want it to. And that was then followed by about 50 yards of topsoil spread out throughout the ball field. Now we'll be moving into aerating and hitting it with as much kind of water as we can as we bring back some programming and continue to kind of put a lot of effort into those fields. We are going to look at the infield. Now that the outfield's irrigation's back up, there was irrigation extended to the infield, which is something we were really hoping for. So that's great. That allows us the opportunity to bring water to the infield. And, we'll keep you updated as those improvements happen, but trying to get the word out and notice as much as we can, but be sensitive to the groups that are using the fields as well and try not to close the field as much as we can. But excited to give those updates there. The playgrounds throughout the city, we have 27 playgrounds in play, and they all now receive their top off of engineered wood fiber, the chips. So that's always an exciting thing that we really didn't institute as a standard practice until we had Measure M to really allow us to kind of do that. And so it's really exciting to be able to provide that level annually now throughout the playgrounds. So excited to get the chips in there. A commemorative picnic table was installed at Wiseman Park next to the playground area. This is something that we hear often with every park project is shade and seating. So whenever we have that opportunity to do, whether it's a commemorative bench program or an opportunity with a park retrofit, we are excited to take those. Also wanted to put your attention to the first that I'm aware of outdoor AED, which is a heart defibrillator, was installed I believe that it was placed today, but installed last week at Leghorns Park on the restroom concession area, and it's been signed. This was in partnership with the local Rotary clubs and the Petaluma Healthcare District. We have several dozens of these in public facilities throughout town, but this is the first that I'm aware of that's designed for an outdoor unit. So it's connected to the power inside the system. It's got a little camera there. If it's tampered with, it takes your celebrity shot and things like that. So we will see how it goes, but if you happen to tune in to council's meeting on Monday, it's very kind of timely. There was a presentation by a group that was given a dedication for saving a life during a pickup basketball game in April, and some community bystanders that were able to activate an AED and provide that life-saving treatment. So it's relevant, and we felt when we were approached by Rotary that this would be a great pilot project to see if we can install and perhaps be there one day when our community needs it. So look for that at Leghorns and know that was intentional. Yes?
Where is it located? You said by the concession stands, and then you also said the bathrooms, and that confused me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No concessions at Leghorns. It's next to the, it's affixed to the restroom and custodial closet area of
By the old playground.
in the middle of the park, the restroom facility at Leghorns. Yeah.
Oh, Leghorns. I'm sorry. I had Lucchese in my head. And
Yes.
I was like, what? Okay. Yes. Got it. I know what you were talking about.
Yep, yep, no
Great.
concessions. Restroom fixed, and it's got signage on it, but yeah, I believe it was officially placed today, but I think we'll probably do a social media or more dedication in a couple weeks. Okay. The skate park community workshop, I believe this will be number 4, but the second of the design presentations will be on July 12th at 6 o'clock at the community center. So this is our second chance to welcome the community back to provide thoughts and inputs on the design. We did this, and there was some really specific feedback, some great kind of input for the design team, which then took that back. There was also a survey that was out, so they're collecting that data, presenting the design, and we're getting pretty close to the end there. So if you're late to being part of this project, or if you know anyone that wants to weigh in on how this skate park is going to skate and be used and feel, now is the time to get off the sidelines and join us. After this, we will take it back to the Recreation Music Parks Commission for a recommendation on an adoption before moving forward to really get the design adopted. So excited to be at that point, and it really is an impressive design that incorporates so much feedback and elements. It's been quite remarkable to see, so excited. Wanted to just share, there was a age-friendly city workshop on June 2nd where staff were joined by local leaders, various nonprofit providers, the senior advisory committee, healthcare workers, to receive the results of the age-friendly assessment survey and findings that were produced during somewhere in the middle of the pandemic. And it was kind of put on pause there, but this is a critical part of moving that age-friendly initiative from kind of a design into some action steps. So a lot of us met over a course of a Friday afternoon. It was a facilitated discussion. It was really powerful, quite remarkable, and at the end of the day, they're going to take all of that input surveys, move it into a type of action framework for public input and review. And I think the timing is really good as you start to hear more about the Blue Zones project and initiative being brought back to our community and looking for input on how we make health and wellness the priority through the actions that we take as a city. The timing of the age-friendly initiative has a lot of synergy with that. So we really feel like it's probably for the best that age-friendly process was stalled a little bit, because I think it'll get a lot of momentum as it kind of couples with the Blue Zones, and then it moves forward as this really kind of powerful tool to help policy decisions make our community more age-friendly. The Putnam Plaza, so there was some temporary art placed on Saturday, and we are getting down to the final stretch of working with the design group for that pilot program to install a temporary platform over the park interior. If you remember, this was a pilot project brought several months ago, I think even the fall. The commission provides some really great feedback. We wanted to see trees maintained and preserved. We wanted to see some benchmarking. How would this pilot program kind of be measured for success? And so that's being incorporated into kind of the final plan. It's going through building permits review for the structure. It's going through some other folks' review for the actual agreement to what it's going to look like. They're scaling back to not include really special events as part of this platform, but it's really going to be a platform to host these pop-up art installations, to be used throughout the days for passive community use, tables, etc. And and really the benchmarking will include pop-up tabling, engaging the community to see how things are going, but also tracking service calls by public safety, for which we've seen a lot of in that area in the last month especially. So we feel it's a good time to try something like this where you can potentially change the narrative, learn from it, and at the end of that program, kind of bring it back to the community to see what, if any, changes or modifications or uses we want to see at Putnam Plaza. Lighting was another part of that project. We're hoping to see some kind of temporary lights, and we don't have a date for install yet, but we're definitely trying to move on that during the dry season. Okay. And last couple things, wanted to take a moment to congratulate Commissioner Brugucelli. Monday night, she was reappointed for another term on the Recreation, Music, and Parks Commission, so congratulations to you. It felt like you were just kind of warming up and served kind of a warm seat, so I'm glad that you can join us for another term and, you're already hitting the ground running. And then that brings us to my last painful kind of update, which is just to say thank you to Commissioner Mary Kate DeLuco. I'm just seconding the sentiments from the commissioners. The last 4 years were a lot. They were heavy for a lot of things, and there's very few, I think, people outside of you and your unique club of commissioners and staff that really kind of understood and understand, what it was like to go through that and still be moving the community forward in ways that ultimately brought people closer together, and you not just weather the storm, but you set an example for a lot of us. So thank you for being that person. And another just kind of understated point that Rachel touched on too is you're consistently provided those great updates and commitments to your liaison assignments. And it's such an understated value to the commission and staff. And while we hope that you all are exposed to the many committees, commissions, and boards, I think this commission uniquely does that through some of the other committees and commissions we serve as liaisons, and you never batted an eye. You jumped in, and whether you're a subject matter or not, you let your voice be heard, and you did it in a way that really drew a lot of people to you and helped us be a better commission for it. So thank you for not taking those duties lightly, and thank you for your service, and I enjoy to hear updates from you and on what you do the third Wednesday of the month for years to come. So thank you, Mary Kate. Yeah, and that is my report for the night. Appreciate you all, and back to you, Chair.
Hey, Drew, can I just hop in? I have an answer for you, Hannah. It looks like Fridays and Saturdays they are going to do rec swim at CAV. That's what I'm seeing on the schedule right now, but I can confirm if they're going to extend that at all. But that's what I'm seeing right now, like as of today, like this weekend. So. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel. Before I adjourn, do we need to save our calendars for the next meeting to be earlier, or is that to be determined?
We are looking at hosting park tours next month in July. So thank you for the reminder. We would love to start those tours if we can at 4:30. But we can send out a poll as we get closer and see how everyone's feeling. I know there's a lot of competing interests, so if we need to push the regular meeting back, that's an option. But it could be shaping up to be a kind of sizable agenda. So if 4:30 works, that would be ideal for staff. But I'll send out a poll and just see how everybody's doing, as well as the availability of our newest commissioner member.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will adjourn until our July meeting. Thank you, Mary Kate.